Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Morse Code Podcast Hour. Our guest today is Mr. Nate Kennedy. Nate, I can't keep it up any longer. Hey, welcome back. Joining us today, Nate Kennedy, who records and performs music under the name Truman Kennedy, which is fitting because as a son of the boot heel down in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, growing up on a cattle farm, Nate is a true Missouri Democrat in the mold of Harry S. Truman. He's got a master's in public service. He's traveled the world, and he came back home to Missouri to work on political campaigns and do advocacy work, while also writing, recording his own original country and bluegrass music. Nate's a rural Democrat. Nate's an amazing songwriter. He combines two of my passions, music and politics. You can imagine how much fun I had talking with Nate. I think you're going to enjoy it too. He even performed an original song for us about his grandfather. If you want to skip ahead to that, you can find it at about 44 minutes in. Enjoy my conversation with Nate Truman Kennedy.
Well, Truman Kennedy, thanks for joining me. This is awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for coming to my basement.
Yeah, this is quite a basement. It's a legit practice space. I love it.
Yeah, it was definitely a selling point at the house for sure.
Uh-huh.
And, we can store the instruments.
Yeah,
nothing's gonna warp. It's all good.
Do you play all these instruments?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. For those just listening, we're sitting next to a drum set and some guitars and a mandolin.
Uh-huh.
I started out playing drums in junior high and high school, marching band, jazz band, concert band, pep band, all those bands, praise bands.
Wow, yeah.
And that was my first instrument. I always wanted to be a rock and roll drummer.
Uh-huh.
My dad had been playing bluegrass since the late 70s. And
Wow.
So I grew up with a lot of bluegrass music, and we'd go to these little festivals, and they'd be pretty boring with a lot of old people. It wasn't,
Yeah.
There's definitely like two kinds of bluegrass festivals, and we were definitely going to a lot more of the traditional ones, or the ones that used to be a little more open up. They kind of got, closed off, and,
Uh-huh.
you couldn't bring alcohol around the stage and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
No dancing.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And so, I didn't really get bluegrass music. I like some of it, but as my music appreciation blossomed, as I get in the jazz band, and I'm realizing, a good bluegrass band operates like a jazz band. Everyone's listings, there's improvisation, there's all that sort of stuff going on.
Yeah. So are we talking about Arkansas right now?
No, I grew up in Poplar Bluff, Missouri.
Oh, okay.
So almost Arkansas.
Yeah, almost Arkansas. Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I grew up. I went to Mizzou,
Uh-huh.
and didn't go to Arkansas until it was time to go to grad school.
Okay.
At the Clinton School of Public Service. So I went down there in 2012 and was in Arkansas for about 8 years. The pandemic started and came back to Missouri to work on the family cattle farm and avoid the plague.
Uh-huh.
Literally headed for the hills.
Wow.
And moved up to St. Louis after that. So,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
And that was back in Poplar Bluff?
Yeah.
The cattle farm?
Yeah, a little bit north of there, but yeah.
You've done everything. Yeah.
A few things.
And the grad school you're talking about was you got a master's in public service, is that right?
Yes, that's the degree there.
Wow.
So
yeah.
it's kind of like public policy, except it's kind of the first of its kind in the nation, in that a third of the coursework is hands-on work with. You start out with a Central Arkansas nonprofit and work with them in your first year, and then the program's changed a little bit since I was there. But over the summer, you would do an international project.
Oh, cool.
And then a capstone wherever you wanted to go.
Uh-huh.
And so I ended up working with Arkansas Advocates for Children and Family. That was my first project, looking at the Earned Income Tax Credit. That was an organization that Hillary Clinton had helped found back in the 80s, I think. And then I worked with a school called Hope North in Uganda, which was for former child soldiers, refugees, orphans.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a real experience. I did my
Yeah.
international project and my capstone there.
Wow.
With the school.
And what was
administrative
your
stuff.
focus there and like your
Yeah,
role?
helping the staff on the ground communicate better with the marketing agency that they had back in the States that kind of also worked international. So just helping them, paint a better picture of what life was like day to day at the school, the stuff you need now for email and social media, fundraising sort of thing. You need a lot of content to keep that going. So tried to make that happen with them. And,
So you've been. I don't mean to move away from music, but I'm as you know, I'm
That's all right. We got to
fascinated.
do a little background.
Yeah, we got a lot. There's a lot to cover. You've been sort of living in two different worlds, right? In terms of like your professional work has been very much on the public policy and advocacy side. Is that
In
fair?
politics,
Politics.
Yeah.
And then also you've been developing this music career.
Yeah, definitely trying to find that balance in two things that take a lot of time.
Yeah, right.
Because there have been times when I've managed a campaign and I haven't been able to do any music at all, and things. I can definitely feel it when I pick the instrument back up after 6 months and I haven't been playing regularly. And,
rusty.
And kind of the toll that takes. So definitely trying to find that balance of being able to perform regularly and create music, record music, and get out there and keep doing the good work.
Yeah. Do you ever get to a point where, or have you gotten to a point where you're working on a campaign or you're working on something that's pretty intense and just like coming back and spending a few hours either on a guitar or mandolin or whatever is almost therapeutic for you? Does
for
it
sure.
feel?
Yeah, definitely. At times, it's got me out of some dark and trying spaces.
Sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily the most religious person, but growing up with bluegrass music, still playing and singing those old gospel songs, there's something there that to connect to for sure.
Yeah.
Especially. So.
Yeah. And you have carried on the bluegrass tradition and you're playing, would you say pure bluegrass or more of just a kind of a country? Yeah. Yeah.
I just kind of.
There were a few songs on your record that I felt like went in that direction.
Yeah, we've got some, a couple songs that don't have any drums, so more of a classic bluegrass arrangement. But then we've got a couple songs that got, saxophones and synthesizers. So I just say broadly Americana or Ozarkana if I want to try to get a little more specific, try to coin a new term. I don't know.
Well, it's interesting you say that. How much of it do you feel like you can pinpoint a specific sound that is unique to Missouri or the Ozark region, as opposed to, obviously bluegrass especially is kind of associated with Kentucky and kind of a farther, more of an eastern, southern.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the Ozarks are a little different. And there's always kind of been a blending of sounds. Like there's, Ozark Mountain Daredevils, a classic rock band that's definitely, a rock band, but they got a lot of twang to it.
Yeah.
You have the Dillards from Salem, Missouri, which they came up being a pretty traditional bluegrass band, but they go out to LA and they're kind of in that country rock scene. And you can see a clip of them performing at the Playboy Mansion on the Playboy TV show, which is pretty funny. Doing a lot of different TV and stuff like that. You've got John Hartford, a St. Louis native who was a banjo player, also went out to LA and wrote for like the Glenn Campbell show and got to start out there. And one of his albums, Aeroplane, Steam Powered Aeroplane, is just a seminal album for a lot of people in bluegrass today, especially in my millennial generation and younger. It's a huge inspiration because he just kind of blends rock and improvisation with bluegrass in a new and fresh kind of way, more of a singer-songwriter orientation to the structures of the songs. And so that's kind of the beginning of new grass, per se. And then, and just kind of one more, getting back to the Ozarks, you've got Levon Helm and the band, which, they did a lot of different kinds of music and were really influenced by Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks and where they're from in Canada and the Delta and everything else.
So wait, is Levon Helm from Missouri?
He's from Arkansas.
Oh, okay.
But spent a lot of time in Fayetteville with Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks when he was
Uh-huh.
starting out in Northwest Arkansas before they moved up to Canada. So yeah, that's what I would see when I lived in Little Rock. I'd hang out at the Whitewater Tavern all the time, and it's kind of a juke joint sort of vibe. It's been on the Esquire's list of top 25 dive bars in the country.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. So they're doing good work down there. And so, Little Rock's just kind of in between Memphis, Nashville, and Texas scene, Austin, Dallas. New Orleans is not far away. So it's definitely kind of a crossroads.
Huh.
Oklahoma red dirt sound. So I would see, if someone, I guess, they couldn't get Tulsa, Memphis, or Dallas, they'd stop in Little Rock.
Yeah.
And so it definitely benefited from that. And of course, the Whitewater Tavern is a destination point for any artist who knows what they're doing.
Is there a sense among like the bluegrass community or alt country of like, I mean, you were talking about, some individual artists who've gone out to LA and like either taken a more, commercial or rock sound or just gone in a more commercial direction. Is there a sense of like, I'm sure there are purists out there, but is there a sense of like almost puritanical kind of,
like I said,
don't sell out?
There is, definitely some traditionalists in bluegrass music who adhere to very strict definitions of what the sound is. And there's that divide between traditional bluegrass, like the first generation of bluegrass with Bill Monroe and Flatt and Scruggs, Jimmy Martin, those kind of artists. And kind of what started in the 70s after that. And then, there's also the dividing line between bluegrass and old-timey music. So bluegrass starts when Bill Monroe, I think it's Earl Scruggs, who's doing the figure roll on the banjo, and they play the Grand Ole Opry in, I think, 1944, something like that. People say that's the official birth of bluegrass when Bill Monroe solidified that sound that was distinct from kind of old time, distinct from country and gospel. He's kind of a punk musician in a way. He just takes country and old time music and speeds it up and blends it all together. And it's kind of a punk sort of thing.
Yeah, right. It's funny, talking to you about music and the intersection of your music and your political career, and here you are performing and writing music in a genre that has really kind of been politicized, at least the countryside of it, and Americana.
Sure.
I've been interested in your point of view as you've been, working in democratic politics and working for progressive causes and progressive candidates or left of center candidates in a lot of, in rural areas, and then also, as I mentioned, playing more kind of traditional, let's say, country bluegrass.
Yeah, that dichotomy. It's well, I mean, I wouldn't say that I could go to a church and play a gospel show next Sunday. That'd be no problem. But I could also play a bar gig the night before. And the gospel show might suffer a little bit the next day, but maybe if I get like an afternoon, like a gospel luncheon, that would be fun. But, in that sort of sense, I do know how to code switch. I was brought up in a Baptist church, and going to church twice a week. Thought I was a conservative Republican because I'd hear my teachers in my high school would be talking about O'Reilly or Sean Hannity, what they said on cable news last night, and I would listen to like their radio shows after school, and I wasn't getting anything from the center or the left. Is where I was, the bubble I was living in, kind of early internet days, the 2000s, early 2000s. And, George Bush, he just got elected, 9/11 happens my freshman year in high school. So we're all big on patriotism at that point. All the dissent was being squashed.
Right.
Kind of a moment that I'm kind of feeling that again right now.
Yeah.
Here in the wake of the assassination of Charlie Kirk and the rhetoric that's going around now, it really reminds me of what happened after 9/11. And but yeah, I just listen to those radio shows. I knew I wasn't really getting an opposing view. The guests they would have on really wouldn't be allowed to, or wouldn't make a good argument for their side, and so that kept me looking for stuff and being a little bit skeptical. And George Bush said he was going to let the inspectors do their work in Iraq and find the WMD or whatever, but we didn't let them finish the job and they invaded, and that's kind of when things started to fall apart for my allegiance to the Republican Party. And so kind of by Labor Day 2004, my senior year in high school, George Bush had his largest rally of his campaign at that point. Only 20,000 people, but we're in a town of 16,000 people.
Wow.
And so I was out there with maybe a dozen protesters getting yelled at all day by the fine Christian folks in my hometown. Said some real nasty stuff, which, in this day and age you might imagine, but back then it was pretty vile to kind of hear that for the first time. Live and in person to your face, not over social media.
Right. Yeah. So interesting. I hope you don't mind if I dig into this, but you knew I was gonna. Or at least that I would want to. So the way you just told that story, you kind of attributed the direction that you took in terms of your personal beliefs and opinions to kind of having a naturally sort of inquisitive, or I think you maybe even said cynical outlook at the information that you're getting. You were insightful enough to recognize that it was all one-sided, and you said, well, what's the other side of this argument? And speaking as someone who hopes that there's a chance of changing some minds, especially in very entrenched and tribalistic communities and areas, is that what it takes? Or is there an additional sort of, do we have to just hope that the smart kids are smart enough? Or what do you think about actually changing minds and persuasion?
It's, as far as, looking at elections and, that I've always been of the both and approach in turnout and persuasion. One, persuade people to actually turn out and vote for you. What do you got to do to get your side on side with you? And number two, I don't really believe that there's kind of a linear mode of politics where people are in the middle. I think people have strong priorities that may not align perfectly with either political party. And so like pollsters don't know what to do with those people. So they just call them, and those people might, I'm not really a Democrat, I'm not really a Republican. So, but they're not in the middle, but they might have very strong opinions on universal health care and gun rights. Some of that might be diametrically opposed to one or both parties, something like that. So, in that case, it's relating to, connecting with people on those issues and on values, and trying to break through that, getting past the party label, because those are helpful in a sense that they kind of economize decisions for folks when you're faced with a ballot with 15 candidates on it or whatever, and you haven't done all your research. You can at least be, this is Democrat. Well, I'll probably agree with them on most things, so might as well vote for them for school board or whatever ballot race it is. But on the same time, it's hard for those candidates to, if they are kind of outside the mold of their party, to get that message out there and let folks know, as you know.
I sure do. So you've worked. I think this will be the last question I ask about politics. It probably won't be, but I'm letting you know that I intend to go back. You worked on ballot measures that have succeeded statewide. I think.
Well, I wasn't part of the team at that
Okay.
point. Yeah. But,
Okay.
yeah.
But your professional work has included work on ballot measures as well as work on candidate campaigns, right?
Yeah.
And what we've seen in Missouri, obviously, is that Missourians are inclined toward some of these ballot measures that sort of like would be progressive branded, right? We've raised the minimum wage. We've voted for sick leave. We've obviously overturned the abortion ban, Medicaid expansion, legalizing marijuana, and then all those same people on the very next thing on the ballot or flip over the ballot and they vote for candidates who intend to overturn that. And so you've been on both sides of that in a campaign and in communicating with people and speaking with people door to door. How does it differ?
Well, yeah, there's been some conventional wisdom over the last 20 years or so that putting these issues on the ballot helps drive out a certain party to the polls. Like going back to 2004, that's when Missouri passed the gay marriage ban. And Republicans were doing that all across the country. Karl Rove was leading that up to get those on a lot of different states to turn out the religious right for the re-election. But then we've had mostly very progressive issues in Missouri and in Arkansas too. While I was down there, medical marijuana and minimum wage in Arkansas. Were passed down there, but at the same time, it's even more stark relief in Arkansas. The Republicans statewide there would get larger margins than the Republicans in Missouri are getting.
Wow.
And still 60%, 65% are voting for a minimum wage increase.
Wow.
So it's and the statewide Republicans and some of them would endorse it because it is very popular. But that's more of a mild issue. Not such a divisive one like reproductive rights. And I kind of wonder if voters, on the one hand, wonder what the Democrats could do because we're not in a position to deliver anything in Missouri, not anytime soon.
Yeah.
We're not. It's going to take a long time to get there. Hopefully shorter than I expect. And they don't really look to government for answers or solutions or help with their day-to-day problems so much anymore.
Yeah.
And so when they see those issues on the ballot, I think it's like we're doing this for ourselves. We're not doing it for any party. We're not trying to help any party out. It's like I want this issue. It's clean, straightforward. It doesn't have a D or an R next to it.
Yeah.
Gonna punch the ticket for it. So that's the kind of like the minimum wage in Florida passed with several million votes, and while Biden lost by another million votes, so there's a huge gap down there.
Yeah.
And so that didn't help him at all.
Right.
And so those issues aren't turning out Democrats. People are doing it for themselves, but I'm gonna see if things start to change here in Missouri, because we've again seen another big overreach from the Republican Party to strip out the cost of living adjustment and the paid sick leave from the minimum wage law that we just passed with 58% of the vote.
Yeah.
Last time around, more popular than 5 of the statewide Republicans running for office.
Yeah.
And so they've stripped those things out, and then they've come down and just this last week gerrymandered the state even further than it was, and are, quote, reforming the initiative petition process. So taking our, we're going to have to vote on that, but they want to try to take away our right to put these issues on the ballot and have our voice heard outside of the legislature. Take away our tools for direct democracy.
Yeah, yeah.
So we'll see if this helps turn the tide, and with hopefully the last. Trump will never be on a ballot again, hopefully. I'm not gonna say never, but
never say never, yeah.
But as his time kind of fades away, as he becomes a lame duck, what's going to happen? Because he definitely brought out 5 to 10% of the electorate in these rural counties that were they were low information, low turnout voters who, when he's on the ballot, they show up. So if he's out of there, is there going to be someone who can take up the mantle? Is this type of politics going to go away? Is the Republican Party going to turn away from fascism and back towards being a real conservative party? I don't know. Is the toothpaste out of the tube? It's real scary right now.
Yeah. Coming here today, I was thinking about, I wanted to ask you a question about protest songs and protest music. And just as you were talking, I was thinking about, this grand tradition of, you've got the folk heroes, or the heroes of folk music, Pete Seeger, Woody Guthrie, who were like huge protest artists and amazing, and really sort of like created an entire genre, and really like bluegrass and country and all that, as you mentioned earlier, you put it into the lexicon of punk. It was if not protest music, it was the music of a working man,
Right.
And it would take up the cause of the working man, and it was the clear sort of foil, if you will, if you put it in storytelling terms, was the boss,
Right.
or the overlords.
There wasn't so much of just kind of a cultural nostalgia reinforcement for tradition necessarily. That's come in like the second half of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Whereas the first half of the 20th century, before things started being recorded, it's for live entertainment purposes. And so you're playing dances, you're relaying stories, you're talking about the news in your songs, and using it as a form of active participatory art.
Interesting. Yeah.
So the genre really changes in the second half as it becomes recorded. That changes the nature of what gets recorded, who gets to record it, and what the genre becomes.
Yeah. All right. So your music, your one takeaway that I had, and I need to get better at, I need to really absorb the full catalog.
Sure.
But
it's just 8 songs recorded so far.
I noticed the storytelling aspect. That really comes. Your songs tell great stories, and they're fascinating, and some of them are hilarious. And so, how much of that comes into play? What you just described, sort of the historical aspect.
And I didn't put much of the. There's one overtly political song on there from the 8 Men in Arkansas, which is 2017. Arkansas made national news because they tried to execute 8 men in 10 days because their lethal injection drugs were expiring.
Oh.
And actually, there was a huge rally at the Capitol. I was there, so that the words from that song are taken from a lot of what I heard that day. There were ministers, formerly incarcerated people, former death row inmates there, who were speaking out about the death penalty, and we also had the West Memphis 3, another famous death penalty case. Those guys don't step foot in Arkansas, but they came back that day because with the support of Johnny Depp, who also showed up and mumbled into the mic for 5 minutes. And I don't know what he said,
right.
But he was there and kind of stole the spotlight away from people who were making cogent points, unfortunately. But it was definitely a spectacle, and some of those, not all of them, but some of them were put to death. One of the men who was put to death, Lido Lee, was always petitioning for his innocence and to do a DNA test on the murder weapon, which didn't get done until after he'd been executed.
Wow. And
they didn't find his DNA on the supposed murder weapon. So, I don't know if that's enough to overturn his case, but it's definitely, in his favor,
right.
I'd say.
Yeah.
So, it's but what I put in that song just kind of describes the situation and the religious aspect of what I heard from ministers, and they're talking about the golden rule that day. So,
Okay, so I know of two. Should we say EPs or full albums?
There's Werewolf
And we're
Mask
sitting in front
is
of
the
Werewolf Mask.
full album out on vinyl and streaming everywhere.
Out on vinyl, streaming everywhere.
Available for digital download on Bandcamp. So you can find it there. And so that's out there. I've recorded a few songs with my friends, a few Christmas songs.
Oh, yeah?
Under the name Truman Kennedy. My friends from Arkansas, Let's Talk Figures, put out a pretty ridiculous Christmas album every year. It gets wilder every year and further away from, just doing a weird cover of Jingle Bells to coming up with some very strange Christmas related stories. I don't know if they're even say they're related.
These aren't.
They use the imagery of Christmas to write songs.
So you wrote original songs, or you performed?
Everything I've done has been covers for that. I've been thinking about an original song. When I was in junior high, we went to visit my aunt for Christmas in Oklahoma City, and on the way back, we left a date early because an ice storm was coming, and so it's Christmas Eve. We stopped to get gas in Tulsa, and somebody stole their car.
Oh my God! Are you kidding me?
Yeah. No.
Whoa! Wow!
Yeah.
And then what?
It was an interesting day. Yeah, I mean,
Jesus.
We might have had a car phone, but we're not carrying cell phones around at that point. So dialing the landline at the gas station and waiting for a cop to show up, and they're probably short-staffed on Christmas Eve, so it took forever for them to get there. And luckily,
a gas station in an ice storm outside of Tulsa.
Yeah.
Someone stole your car. How many of you were there?
Well, my mom, dad, and my brother. And,
Four of you.
Yeah, we all just kind of one by one walked into the store, and I guess someone was watching, and we've been listening to a Pray Home Companion. And as we switched it to the Tulsa market, we were listening to the first hour again, so we were kind of bored. So I think we all just went inside, and Dad had left the keys on because we were listening to the radio.
Right.
And then no one grabbed the last person out didn't grab the keys.
Wow.
Yeah. So someone was paying attention and ran over and jumped in it and broke the hose off and everything else just took off. Yeah.
And you wrote a Christmas song about that?
I'm thinking.
Oh, you're thinking of it.
I'm thinking it might make an appearance on the next one, so it's gotta work. That's a good Christmas story, I guess.
That's a great Christmas story. Yeah.
So look for that one.
Yeah.
Follow me on Instagram or wherever.
Yeah. Follow him on Instagram and wherever.
You might see it this Christmas.
Yeah. It's Truman Kennedy Music or just
Truman Kennedy Music on the Facebook, Instagram, Threads. I think I'm just Truman Kennedy. I just got on TikTok. Look out.
Yeah.
Just in time for maybe Rupert Murdoch to buy it. I don't know. I heard that rumor this week.
Oracle, like Larry Ellison is involved. Yeah.
So that could be a disaster. But website's trumankennedy.com. No music. Just trumankennedy.com.
And when did you release Werewolf Mask? And what's going on with the promotion? Where are you going from here?
December 24. So we started releasing the singles about a year ago and getting that out there. So I got some shows coming up in the St. Louis area. Is this coming out? When is this coming out?
This should come out this week before your Saturday shows. Yeah.
So Saturday, September 27th. I've got 2 gigs with the full band within 12 hours. So 10 a.m.
Wow.
10 a.m. at the Tower Grove Farmers Market. It's also Pride Fest this weekend. So a great time to be in Tower Grove Park.
Yeah.
But it's the last Saturday for Twang Fest's Saturday sessions. So we'll be playing there for between noon and 2 in Tower Grove. And then Saturday night, we're playing at Four Hands Brewery and Tasting Room, the downtown location. They're going to have the loading dock open. We're going to be playing up on the loading dock. And so
that'll be great.
That's both of those are free. So come on out. And November 7th, we'll be at the Sinkhole. That's going to be more of a rock show and lean into, the electric mandolin side of stuff. And play a quicker set, not a long 2-hour set like we normally do. But, nice tight 45 minutes of more of, bluegrass and country influenced rock. And then, December 5th, we are back at Venice Cafe, one of our favorite places to play, so we'll be there. Working on an opener right now for that, but we'll be there. Music starts at 9, and that's a Friday, I believe. So.
Awesome. And so when you perform with a full band, what's the instrumentation? Who do you have?
Yeah, I've got shotgun Sean Camry on fiddle.
Nice.
Willie Shashevsky, who was my engineer and recorded. He's also from Arkansas, from Conway via Fayetteville, and then happened to move up to St. Louis around the same time and opened his studio up here. So I got my album finished. I started my album actually right before the pandemic in Little Rock.
Oh, wow.
And put it on ice for 2 years, and then came back up here and had to find more musicians and kind of put it back together piece by piece. So,
wow.
Yeah, it took a long time. It's almost 4 years to get out there. And then, let's see. So, Willie Shashevsky on keys and guitar. I've got Rick Vaughn on drums, and then my dad plays bass with me. So,
oh, excellent.
I'm playing mandolin, mandola, and guitar.
Talk to me about mandolin.
Yeah. 8 strings, not a ukulele, not a banjo. Just get that out of the way. It's like, pick it up here.
Yeah.
It's the plucked version of a violin.
Okay.
So tuned the same as a violin. Doubled strings for volume, basically. Is why they're that way.
The plucked
and to make
version
it harder
of
to
violin,
tune.
I never realized that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the mandola is, there's a mandolin side of things for all the violin instruments. So a mandola is like a viola. There's a mandocello.
Wow.
It's like a mando bass. So
A mandocello.
Yeah.
Holy cow. And that's obviously that's played the same way?
They're tuned in fifths. A mandocello is tuned an octave below a mandola. So C, G, D, A. Yeah.
But you play it the same way you would play guitar.
You're plucked. Yeah.
But you're seated and it's turned sideways. It's not.
Actually, during the pandemic, I turned an electric guitar into an electric mandocello.
Really?
Yeah.
So it's about the same size as a guitar.
Yeah. So that's going to be about the guitar scale length for sure. Yeah. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I don't know. I break it. I've taken it out to an open mic once. So follow me. You might see it out there somewhere.
Yeah. Amazing.
But I just started getting into more electronic side of stuff too. The pandemic did give me a time to really figure out what's going on with pedals, guitar pedals, and making weird sounds. I had a few before that, but then just really figuring out what they do and the differences between them all, and what makes a good one, and the different sounds, and being able to hear that sound. One thing I hate about learning more about music and about music theory and about how sounds are made is it just takes away so much of the mystery of music.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that? And
Yeah.
you play as well.
Yeah.
The more it just, you'd see a band when you were in high school and just be like, how the hell are they doing that?
Yeah.
What's going on? But anymore, it's like, okay, here's what they got going on. There's that, and then, okay, here's the structure. And playing bluegrass, I have an ear. I play by ear, so I could hear the changes and I know what the chords are and stuff like that. So
Do you feel is there any part of you that because when I think of bluegrass and old country, I think of a very sort of organic sound, right, and a very kind of analog sound. Is there any part of you that feels like you're abandoning that by? I'm not talking about necessarily Dylan going electric, but
yeah, it's a mix. I'm typically not using my bluegrass mandolin when I'm playing with the band or playing my solo gigs. Sometimes I will with the solo gigs, but I am using some electric mandolins and mandolas that have pickups in them. And that's just to kind of diversify my sound and use my pedal board and do that sort of thing. Kind of get weird with it, keep it interesting. But then my dad's playing stand-up bass straight into an amp.
Just that's cool.
Amplification purposes to play over the drums. And then Sean, he goes straight in with his fiddle. So there is a blending of acoustic and electric elements there. So.
But in terms of experimenting with pedals and stuff, and just making brand new sounds and stuff.
And you can do that with an acoustic instrument too. I mean, like Billy Strings is pretty much only playing acoustic guitars up there, but his whole band is acoustic, but they're running through big old pedal boards and getting weird with it like a jam band. So I don't go that far, but
made you promise to play a song or two for
Sure.
us.
Mhm.
You down with that?
Yeah.
You got something in mind?
Yeah. I got, I'm going to play Idaho, which
Oh, great.
recorded on the album.
Yeah.
And tuned
I'm
there.
gonna
Let's check the
slide
levels.
this way, and I'm gonna let you.
So Idaho, my ancestors, my real last name is Kennedy. Truman is semi-pseudonym.
Okay. It's not a middle name.
No, not a middle name. But we, as far as I know, we got to Arkansas by 1880, and we were sharecroppers for a few generations until the Great Depression and FDR in World War II came along, and so my granddad and great uncles joined the CCC camps, went up to Iowa and worked up there, doing government jobs and sending the money back home. And otherwise, my grandfather and I are the only two people in our family who've had malaria. He had got his
Wow.
in southeast Missouri, growing up on a swamp with a cabin with dirt floors.
Wow.
And I got mine in Africa.
Wow.
So, it's a little different there.
Legit.
But
Yeah.
He didn't bootstrap himself. Yeah, he worked hard, but he didn't, his family wasn't bootstrapping themselves out of being a sharecropper. Because, there's always been kind of an underclass of people that we exploit for our food system in this country, and it continues to this day.
Right.
With undocumented immigrants coming here to pick all our food and work in our restaurants and that sort of thing. So, it was part of that, but he didn't get out of that, and he lucked out because he was white, number one, and so he got the benefit of the GI Bill. And so it wasn't until he and his siblings got off the farm and established themselves that they were able to buy a piece of property for his parents and get them out of sharecropping so they could actually
Wow.
have something and retire.
Are we talking about early 1900s or what?
By that point,
so
like
it's probably
1950s. At that
okay.
point, yeah, after World War II.
Wow.
And so, that was what the GI Bill, World War II got him out of that. And so, it's just kind of, it's a story I tell to introduce the song sometimes that relates to the my family history and the economics and of it all. He was a member, but I also encourage people to look up the Southern Tenant Farmers Union, formed in 1934 in Tyronza, Arkansas, which was the first integrated and co-ed labor union in the country.
Wow.
There was a big strike in 1937, and there's a memorial to it down on Highway 60 near Charleston, Missouri, where they just left the farms and were maybe kicked off the farms and were out there on the highway. And some of them, mostly black sharecroppers, got together and were able to get a piece of property and started a kind of a black community and commune outside of Poplar Bluff too for a while down there. So anyway, my grandfather remembers the strike going on, remembers everyone lined up on the highway and protesting, but he was never a part of the union, but definitely appreciated those sorts of efforts. But so anyway, this song's about my great-great-grandfather, who was Joseph Idaho Kennedy. That's all. That's a real name.
That's
Idaho's
cool.
a family name. I don't know if anyone ever
Not the
went-
Joseph Kennedy?
No, not that one. I was in politics. Are you one of the Kennedys? I'm like, yeah, the sharecroppers from Northeast Arkansas.
Yeah,
You've
that's
heard of
why
us.
yeah.
You know us. So I kind of tell that story about my grandfather. As I was looking into the Southern Tenant Farmers Union, my grandfather was 96 at the time and living with us, and we were taking care of him. And I asked him about his upbringing, and he kind of told me about that, and the story about my great-great-grandfather who played fiddle and tried to do that professionally, and I guess it didn't work out because my family still ended up in Northeast Arkansas. So anyway, so this is the story of that. Let me tell you a tale of a man from long ago who's now buried beneath the delta sand. Well, his given name was Joe, but they called him Idaho. You could hear his fiddle all across the land. One day in summer sun, he said, "Are I'm almost done with all this sweat," and tore that in hand. Get my fiddle and my bow, and get your banjo, and in the mining camps out west we make our name. Idaho, Idaho, I don't want you rousing up your boat. Idaho, Idaho, I don't want you holler, train and go. Silver City, they did go down in old New Mexico, where the outlaw Billy Kid been his name. They arrived out of scent, but they pitched themselves up to the came with the money, the women, and the fame. Idaho, Idaho, I don't want you rousing up your boat. Idaho, Idaho, I ain't gonna reap what you sow. Took a life to the bar, gave Miley right from those she's promised to Big Eddie Carlisle. Big Eddie was Jim's type, but I'd have played the old game pipe, cause he knew that tune made Miley smile. Was a dark and stormy night, and Big Eddie was earthing fighting over the piano. Boss knew he didn't smash. Then the whole school fell silent, big body brace full of violence in the distance, man, he had the mercy and began to swear. And the river flooded through in a flash. Idaho, Idaho, I want you rousing up your boat. Idaho, Idaho, back to Arkansas, you better go. Better drive that plow, swing that hoe. Oh, I don't want you rousing up your boat.
Woo! That was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah. Truman Kennedy, Idaho.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you have it.
So,
Mostly true story. I had to fill in some blanks.
yeah. That was a good
Little
story.
historical fiction in there, but it's all researched,
Sure.
and I did the work. But yeah,
I think when it's an ancestor, you got poetic license.
sure. I guess so. I
Yeah.
guess so. Family lore.
Yeah. And so you've been working on this album for a while.
Yeah.
You got more songs in the
Yeah.
can?
I've got a good number written that I think are kind of the basis for the next thing. Maybe more electric, maybe more rock and roll, maybe more guitar
Fun.
centric. We'll see how it goes. Because yeah, I definitely couldn't have predicted exactly how this one was going to come out. I definitely had some ideas. I knew I wanted saxophones on it, but you know, it all came together piece by piece.
Yeah.
And it was a fun experience. But now that I have a band together, hopefully we can kind of lay those down in a different way and have more of a band approach to the songs. And
Are you writing with the band?
Yeah, we've been working on that this
collaborative?
summer, and trying to work out some parts and get some feel for these songs down and turn them and polish them up.
In fact, you're billed as Truman Kennedy and
The Unstoppable Bucks.
the Unstoppable Bucks.
Yeah, it's not about deer. It's about Truman Kennedy. The buck stops here.
Okay.
Yeah, Harry Truman. What did I say?
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, and also my uncle wrote a couple albums of music about 20 years ago, and wanted to bring some of those to light. So there's about 9 or 10 of those that we want to record for another project. So
Wow.
we've been kind of working on those too.
Yeah.
And taking them away. He just did them guitar and harmonica, straightforward, one take.
Wow.
And so pretty, kind of a Bob Dylan-esque sort of thing, but I'm taking those and rearranging them and changing some stuff up and bringing them around to a full band sort of sound. So
that's great.
Another fun project. Yeah.
So that reminds me of the question, the very obvious question that any interviewer asks a musician, which is, it sounds like you grew up in a musical household. You're surrounded by musicians.
Yeah.
And what was that like?
It was great. Yeah. It definitely it put music out there as something to aspire to do.
Were they playing professionally?
No, I never played professionally, but semi-professionally. But it wasn't there. It was a hobby. And so having that dream of trying to bridge the gap between semi-pro and pro.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get there. Maybe I won't. I don't know.
Sure.
We'll see how well this podcast performs out there. Maybe I'll take off.
Oh, it's blown up.
Oh yeah.
Get ready for the big time.
This is
Now
the
you've
break.
been on
This
the
is my break. Yeah.
The Morse Code podcast. Yeah. Yeah. Cool, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was great.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
All right. Let's see. We plugged your shows.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else we need to say?
We got the websites out there. We got the shows out there.
TrumanKennedy.com.
Played a song. We talked about
Vinyl
politics.
is available.
Yeah, vinyl. It's in 8 record stores around St. Louis.
Oh, great.
So if you're out there digging in the crates, you may find it. 8 or 9. Well, I may be up to like 9 now. There's one across the river, 2 in Illinois. So check those out.
Yeah.
And there's in a couple in Little Rock too. If you're in Arkansas and listening to this.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks for doing this. Yeah.
Game over.